Picture this, 40,000 years ago, no hospitals, no doctors, no name for the mind's mysteries. One night, someone in your tribe starts hearing voices that nobody else around the fire can hear.
They laugh without reason, speak to people who aren't there, and wander toward danger without any fear. Would your ancient community call this person cursed, chosen by spirits, or simply too dangerous to keep?
Modern archaeology, forensic anthropology, and ancient DNA research are finally answering a question we assumed was unsolvable.
For decades, historians assumed prehistoric people simply abandoned anyone who behaved differently from the rest of the group. Hunter-gatherer life depended on cooperation and mobility, so a person needing constant care seemed like a heavy burden. But excavations across Europe, the Middle East, and Asia are revealing a far more compassionate and complicated picture. Some remains show people surviving for years with injuries that should have made independent survival nearly impossible. Healed fractures, assisted mobility, and nutritional support all point to communities that chose to care, not abandon. Bones can't reveal exact thoughts, but they do prove something remarkable. Empathy existed long before written history. One of the strangest clues comes from an ancient surgery called trepanation, drilling a hole straight into the skull.
Thousands of trepanned skulls have turned up across continents, some more than 7,000 years old already. Many of these skulls show clear healing, proving the patient actually survived this shockingly ancient surgical procedure.
Scientists still debate the reason, treating head trauma, relieving pressure, or easing seizures and severe headaches.
CT scanning and three-dimensional imaging now let researchers study these skulls without damaging the fragile ancient bone.
The precision found in these cuts shows planning and real medical knowledge, not random or careless violence. Prehistoric hunter-gatherers were only the beginning, and civilizations were about to invent entirely new explanations for the mind. Around 3000 BCE, Egyptian physicians recorded medical observations in texts like the famous Edwin Smith papyrus.
This is considered one of the oldest known medical documents ever discovered, describing injuries with startling clinical detail.
Egyptian physicians occasionally linked physical and neurological symptoms directly to injuries affecting the brain itself. They still believed gods, spirits, and curses influenced health, blending practical observation with religious rituals side by side. High-resolution imaging and AI-assisted translation now reconstruct damaged papyrus sections unreadable only a few decades ago. Centuries later, the Greeks asked a radical question: what if illness begins inside the body, not the heavens? Hippocrates, often called the father of modern medicine, argued that emotional disorders came from bodily imbalance, not punishment. His four humors theory was scientifically wrong, yet it represented a genuine turning point toward natural explanation. Instead of relying only on ceremony, Greek physicians recommended changes in diet, exercise, sleep, and daily environment. Modern neuroscience confirms depression, schizophrenia, and anxiety involve genetics, brain chemistry, and environment working together. But outside the Mediterranean world, other civilizations were writing an entirely different chapter of this same story. Across the Americas, Africa, Asia, and Australia, unusual mental states were not always feared or rejected outright. People experiencing visions or altered states were sometimes honored as spiritual leaders, healers, or respected community storytellers. These individuals were believed to communicate directly with ancestors or with spirits from beyond the physical world.
Anthropologists warn against romanticizing this too much. Not every culture treated these individuals with the same compassion.
Some communities responded with isolation and punishment, while others offered ritual healing and genuinely respected social roles. Isotopic analysis, ancient DNA sequencing, and facial reconstruction now reveal how these cultures treated vulnerable people. Facial reconstruction technology lets researchers see the actual faces of people who lived thousands of years ago. Digital mapping of burial sites uncovers social relationships once thought completely impossible to reconstruct from bone alone. But despite these early breakthroughs, Humanity was about to enter one of history's darkest chapters in mental health. As empires rose and religions evolved, fear would soon replace understanding for millions of vulnerable people. Stigma, persecution, and tragic misunderstanding would define mental illness for centuries across much of the world.
In the final part, we'll discover how modern science and artificial intelligence are separating ancient myth from fact.
What if humanity's greatest mistake wasn't misunderstanding the stars or oceans, but misunderstanding the human mind itself? Today, we're living through one of the most extraordinary revolutions in the entire history of mental health research. Technologies like fMRI, PET scans, high-resolution MRI, and EEG let scientists observe the living brain in action. Researchers now watch how different brain regions communicate and how neurotransmitters shape thought, mood, and behavior. Advanced genetic sequencing reveals how inherited variations can raise or lower someone's risk for psychiatric disorders. Conditions like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and severe anxiety are never signs of weakness or moral failure. These conditions emerge from genetics, brain development, immune activity, trauma, and environmental stress interacting together closely. Artificial intelligence now analyzes enormous datasets that would otherwise take human researchers decades to fully process.
Machine learning models detect subtle patterns in brain scans and help predict how patients respond to treatment. AI is not replacing psychiatrists, but it's becoming one of neuroscience's most powerful research tools ever built.
Ironically, some of our biggest breakthroughs about ancient minds are also coming from this same modern technology.
CT scanning, 3D laser reconstruction, and radiocarbon dating help rebuild lives that ended thousands of years ago. These techniques estimate diet, disease, migration, injury, and even patterns of long-term caregiving within old communities. No method can diagnose depression from bones alone, but injuries and long survival after disability still speak clearly. This evidence challenges the old assumption that ancient societies universally abandoned their most vulnerable community members. Compassion and caregiving appear to have been essential survival strategies throughout most of human history itself.
That realization reshapes not just our view of the past, but our understanding of what it means to be human.
Empathy may have mattered just as much to our evolution as intelligence, language, or the invention of tools.
So what did ancient humans really do with the mentally ill? There was never one single universal story. Some people were feared, isolated, or misunderstood, while others were cared for, respected, or embraced by their communities.
Humanity's relationship with mental illness has always reflected the limits of whatever knowledge that era possessed.
As understanding expanded, many old beliefs disappeared, yet this long journey is still far from over today. Even now, millions worldwide still face stigma, despite overwhelming evidence that mental illness deserves compassion and real treatment.
Every generation believes it finally understands the human mind better than the generation that came before it.
Yet every generation still discovers there is so much more left to learn about the human mind. Thousands of years from now, future civilizations may wonder which of our own beliefs were incomplete.
The real mystery was never whether we've solved the mind, but whether we're humble enough to keep searching.
From sacred healers to feared outcasts, the human mind has always been our oldest and deepest mystery. So tell me, knowing all of this now, what do you think we still don't understand?